So this is Ren for Ren's Wasteland Games channel. This is Pumpkin House. It is by far my favorite location in the game. Probably because it would be incredibly hard to replicate in-game for a build.
Pumpkins to carve.
Because as he says, so many pumpkins to carve, so little time. Each one of these things requires... You can build something similar, if not the identical items, in-game already. But the problem is they require pumpkins. Lots and lots of pumpkins. And as you can see, there are lots and lots of pumpkins along the top of this roof and along the handrail. And then you've also got the ones on the racks outside of it. And some of those are cool, and some of them are not. But the thing that I think is really cool is the amount of light that is here. There's a large amount of that yellow glow light that we all love so much in game. The thing that makes areas look warm and kind of welcoming in game. Now the problem with lights in this game is you are limited in your budget. Some of these things would qualify as floor decor, while others will qualify as actual lighting in your budget. So it would be kind of hard to replicate this exactly. I mean, you could probably come up with something similar, and that would be a good challenge for my challenge builds for people to try and do, is to try and replicate Pumpkin House as best they can. All the way down to the outcropped windows over here. Which can be done with a few tricks and a bunch of doors. But that being said, that is not the primary reason I am here. I am here to both complain and say that Bethesda has done some really cool things over the years. Like the pumpkin grenade here has been modified quite a bit from its original damage codes. It now does 147 points of damage standard, and then it does 175 points over 5 seconds that's a poison effect, and then 350 points that is a radiation effect. It is by far one of the coolest items that is in this game. It reminds me of the Green Goblin from Spider-Man, if you know what I mean. It is a lot of fun. It is one of my favorite items, and I wish that I could get that little robot to live at my house. But I can't. And the other robot in-game that I wish I could have live at my house is the one from over here at the giant teapot, the Sweetwater. Those two I think would be the funnest to have at your house. And maybe one of the waiter bots from the distinguished event over here at Bolton Greens. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So if you like this event, one of the other things you get besides the pumpkins themselves are you get the radioactive pumpkin seeds, which look, for all intents and purposes, if you're in game, you can use these to simulate, you know, freshly ground coffee. You can put it out on the chessboard, and there's always the Thanksgiving displays. They work really well with that. But those are my two of my favorite items that they have placed in game that I think are really kind of cool. Now, the thing that I want to bitch about is every time that this game gets updated, for everything they do cool, like add effects to, say, the pumpkin grenade, they screw up something else, like fast travel, for instance. Crashing on fast travel's back. It's one of those things that's really fun to do. I do it a lot. And boy, is it fun. And then on top of that, when you first log into the game, if you have a jetpack on your character, and sometimes after fast travel, the game will completely and utterly forget that, well, it's there, and suddenly it doesn't want to work. And so you'll be jumping around trying to dodge something, and, well, this thing, it's just for show. Yep. Terrible, terrible thing. So, one of the cool things they implemented is they finally implemented 4 stars into the game. One of the bad things is they tied it to an event series. Not a big deal. They're going to add more events as time progresses, so you'll get more events to actually be able to get more of them. But, and here's the but, because there's always a but, they don't always test the 4-star mods thoroughly. They don't have time to do that, so They require us to test them in the PTS for them. Now, the cool thing about testing in the PTS is, yeah, you get to do it. Yeah, you get to say if something was good or bad. No, you don't get to give enough of a description to actually make a difference. Or they don't read it. I'm not sure which one it is, but yeah. So right now the PTS is kind of broken with the onslaught feature on the pistolier cards, or the cards that currently affect pistols in game. That's going to change because those cards are going to get changed. And effectively what they're going to do is they're going to buff your reload speed, they're going to buff your damage, and they're going to buff something else. Possibly the duration, possibly the number of stacks of that buff that you get. So, as the saying goes, let's see if they actually fix it properly, because although the miasma did what it does now in the PTS, the 4-star miasma, if you use it in the regular servers, it still does the same thing that it did in the PTS. And what do I mean by that? Well, to put it simply, if enough people are using it, or even one person is using it, and it's going off in a consecutive fashion, it can bork a server. Woohoo! People are worried about flying camps. Bethesda doesn't care about flying camps. If they cared about flying camps, they would put gravity in the game and make it so that you can't build over a certain height. It's real easy to implement. It's so easy to implement, I'll tell you how they can do it. And this is a bonus freebie. So currently, there's a plugin for Unreal Engine 5 that you can get. You can import Bethesda ESMs and ESPs into the game. Engine, meaning you can import this entire world into the game as one big block. Now, if you imported this into that engine, suddenly you have mechanics for that engine available to you. Meaning climbing, scaling, structural, building, all that stuff would be totally available in that engine, which is not available in this engine. You know what else is available in that engine? Stability. Server stability. The ability to have more than 20 people on a server. You could actually go ahead and go for 50 to 100 people on a server and not have a problem. All of the art from this design would all flow into it without a problem. You could rebuild the quests, the entire quest trees, if you take about 50 people and have them going at it for about, I don't know, a month and a half, maybe 2. At best, and have all of the quests rebuilt. Because some of the quests in this game are really, really simple. A lot of them are still tied to notes, and are not tied to NPCs. So, building the quests, tying them to objects, all that kind of stuff, I mean, it's an Unreal Engine 5 thing. The other thing that you could do is you could blow this map out about 5 times bigger than it already is. Minimum. And not have any kind of issues at all. And all that is from a simple plug-in for the Unreal Engine 5. Why do I say that? Well, because the plug-in works on all Bethesda games all the way back through Morrowind, all the way forward up to Starfield, which this game is not part of that development arc. Starfield was built on the next modern iteration of the engine that they used for this game, but the problem is Starfield is still a piece of crap in and of itself. That being said, the shipbuilding in it was designed and looks like it'd probably be pretty cool. But Bethesda is doing what Bethesda does, and they're going for a money grab option on their store, which is kind of what they're doing here with the Atomic Shop. My biggest problem with the Atomic Shop currently is the fact that, I'll show you real quick. It's real easy to see. It might not be easy to see on this character. Damn it. So if you have bundles that come up and they are listed as new, they should have new items in them. They shouldn't be old items that are rehashed and resold. That's my personal thing. And if you have items that break, like for instance, all of these things are tied to that one bundle that's broken right now. And the reason that it's broken is because the counterfeit cap machine that came with it, well, it broke out the box because it wasn't tested properly. Imagine that. But if you need the Brotherhood of Steel porch set, I would advise buying it because it's on special right now and it's probably going to be gone by tomorrow. But there's a lot of things in this game that are cool and a lot of things in this game that are not cool. Most of the things that are not cool are issues that occur that should have been handled a long time ago. Like the fast travel bug. It's back. Hope you like it. I enjoy traveling. Traveling from place to place and then suddenly not being in the game anymore because my game borked up and locked up because of server instability, which might be because somebody used a miasma cup thing on the server that I was on and I was in between locations, or better yet because the server's unstable because they didn't want to pay that extra, money to get more servers after they were acquired by Microsoft. Or possibly even some of our servers in California are just borking up anyway because, well, they're in California and the whole state's basically, well, the whole southern half of the state is basically on fire. At least the parts that people recognize the name of on a regular basis, which I think is hilarious. By the way, if you own 6 homes in the same city and you're not renting them out and they suddenly burn to the ground, you might want to wonder why the hell you put that much money into something so stupid. Just gonna say that. Oh, and renter's insurance is a good thing. I highly advise everybody to get it. Now then. So this game is a little borked at the moment. There's a few thousand ways I can think to fix it. Most of them relatively painful for Bethesda because it involves more money and more work put into a game that they really would rather just rake money in from. But if they take some of the people that are currently not working on Starfield content and currently not working on the next Elder Scrolls, because Elder Scrolls 6 is, well, doing its thing, they could import a few of their games into the Unreal Engine and then go back through and reverse engineer. Or better yet, hire somebody that's an Unreal Engine support team, have them go through and reconnect all the quests back properly by giving them the quest maps that they should have on file for the games that they have already made. And go ahead and do that. The other good thing about changing some of those games over to Unreal, especially the older ones, you could do a true remaster where the world space gets bigger, more defined, better looking by adding more trees and things like that into it. You could also go through and have dialogue re-recorded and release it as a true remaster of the game on the new engine with the same literal appearance that you were going for in the first game. And because of the way the importation of this works, because you are importing the original game code into the new system, you can literally go in and improve things like the combat system while keeping your skills and everything else working exactly the way you wanted them to in the beginning. You can do a true remaster of games in the most simple and elegant of fashions. Bethesda, I highly wish you would do this, because it would save you so much time and so much development and make so much sense and money for you overall. I mean, let's be honest. You take a game like, say, I don't know, Oblivion, and you reprocess it through, you get all of those beautiful locations that you've already built. You get the ability to add more to them because the new game engine that you're working with has way more capacity than the original one. You get the ability to add more NPCs to cities to make it feel like it's a real city. You can tear down artificial boundaries that you put up in cities and load doors and things like that because you don't need them anymore because of the way the game's new engine incorporates the old engine's work without having to have that other limitation placed upon you. Fallout 3, for instance, could be a massively beautiful game with an interconnected city where you don't have to have load doors and you don't have to have artificial barriers placed. I'm telling you, it would be awesome. They're not going to do it, but it would be awesome. Because if they did it, that would mean that they would have to admit that the engine that they've got, although it can do some beautiful things, is out of date and needs to be replaced, which is true. It is totally 100% out of date and needs to be replaced. But you don't have to replace it. You can do all of your modeling, your area maps. You can import them in sections and piece them together in that other engine. So you could use this as your artwork, as your palette, as your canvas of choice for your game designers. And you can use the other to build out, fill in, and make the world you want as big and robust and dynamic as you always said that your game should be. I'm just saying. It's a no-brainer. But then again, there's a lot of no-brainers that work at Bethesda. We'll just leave it there. You guys have a good time. This is me ranting probably at the wind at this point, because nobody's really going to care about this. And, you know, Bethesda's really not that kind of company anymore. They're not innovative. They just aren't.
On days like these, I wonder what I'm even carving for.